Hi everyone, my name is Kim C, and you're listening to my one-woman podcast where I take my university fiction instructor credentials and my passion for Stephen King's writing and I sandwich them together to terraform it all into a kind of infotaining classroom celebration that hopefully isn't super boring. But ladies and gentlemen, celebration is the word to have in mind for this episode. This is our end of the year recap, looking back on our year of reading King 2023, our best of underrated King 2023. So reapply your lipstick, fill up your glass, and settle in for my favorite episode of the year. I am so excited to be with you all. Today's joy cannot be contained. A lot of you know New Year's Eve is my favorite holiday of all time. This is my favorite time of year. I'm so romanced by everything it represents. It's so hopeful and global and sparkly, and nothing thrills me more than reflecting back on the year that has recently passed and planning, hoping, dreaming of a brighter future for myself and those I love. It sends my unicorn poet heart soaring. And right next to all that mushy stuff is the stone cold fact that champagne, or sparkling wine, I don't discriminate, is my favorite adult beverage of choice. So every year I go out of my way to acquire some tasty stuff to indulge in, which makes the whole holiday that much more magical for me. I would be lying if I told you poppin' bottles in a pretty dress isn't something I totally live for. Indulgences aside, I also adore that this little podcast of mine gets the chance to calm down for a spell, sink into the couch cushions, and think about what we want to tackle in the next 12 months, as well as look back at the King titles that mapped our year. It's a glorious thing, my friends. A really beautiful time. As you guys might glean from last year's Best of Underrated King 2022 episode, readerly plans definitely didn't happen the way I thought they would. I was convinced 2023 would lead me back to the Dark Tower. I was planning on it. I also thought for sure I would have tackled Needful Things or Dreamcatcher, or at the very least the Dark Half. And then all of a sudden I blinked and it's September and my little boat had floated far away from those shores due to a different, unexpected plot twist that was joyous and memorable. My hometown Stephen King book club was a delightful rogue wave that pushed me far out to sea, and I'm totally cool with it, but boy, did it really change things up a bit. This year, the book club's theme examined the psychic children within Stephen King's work, and next year's theme, 2024, Year of the Wood Dragon, hopefully it's a lucky one, will be traveling the road to Holly Gibney, which will take club members from Mr. Mercedes all the way to 2023's Holly. So I'm really excited to explore King's muse in greater detail with new King readers, and blissfully, we got a lot of ladies in the club, so it should be really dynamic and interesting. We're going to start with the Bill Hodges trilogy and then plug in The Outsider, If It Bleeds, and then Holly. And then most likely, due to popular demand, I may finally get the reread of The Stand I've been meaning to do for several years now. I know I've explained it once or twice, but I don't like to talk about it too much because I'm so ashamed. Back in 2015, I got 600 pages into The Stand and stopped when everybody got to Nebraska, and I don't know what the hell happened, but I shelved it, and yeah, I've just been carrying this cloud of shame with me wherever I go since 2015. So most likely 2024 will be my year of The Stand redemption, hopefully. It seems like the book club might dictate that, so fingers crossed I can make it happen. If we don't do The Stand, the other popular choice is, of course, heading back to Derry to chill with the Losers Club once more. We do have a few people in the book club who have never read it before, so that's extremely enticing. So all around, the latter half of 2024 will either be The Stand or it. Stay tuned. So that's on the book club side, which may bleed into my episode coverage a little bit. I don't think I'll do podcast episodes on each Holly Gibney book, but never say never. We'll see how it goes. What I will declare firmly, fist in palm, is a return to the Dark Tower. But as you all know from this year's coverage, I have been consistently hemming and hawing on which Dark Tower novel to read because I've been torn between Wolves of the Calla or Wind Through the Keyhole. I decided to take a very punk rock path when I realized, oh hey, there's this other way you could go about it. So throughout the year, I've been consistently asking people their opinion, and many listeners out there recommended I stick to canon, and others are in full favor of deviating from the path and embracing Wind Through the Keyhole. And sadly, it's like 50-50, folks, which doesn't help as much as I would like. But I think, in the end, I need to do what my heart tells me to do, and that's choose Wind Through the Keyhole, which is what I first gravitated towards after I found out there was an extra helping of post-Wizard and Glass story, and it was this little standalone book, and immediately I decided, oh yeah, more Wizard and Glass vibes. I definitely want more of that. Let's head there. So that's the plan, bunnies. January 2024 will bring forth a return to the quartet, and I will be reading Wind Through the Keyhole. I'm really looking forward to it. I genuinely miss everyone so much, and I'm excited for my readerly reunion. Me and Roland, we definitely got to smooth out a couple things between each other. Our relationship got a little heated at the end of Wizard and Glass. I was a bit pissed, to say the least, at some of the choices that were made, but deep down, he knows I love him, and he knows I'm going to keep following him, and that's good enough for me. At present, Wind Through the Keyhole is the only book I have planned, because as you guys know from last year's Best of Underrated King 2022 episode, I made a huge list of what I wanted to read, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get to read but a few of the chosen picks. So for this year's strategy, I'm just gonna let the wind take me, pun intended. Balancing the book club and overall story vibrations, I'll have to see what jumps out at me, but please know, the goal is always to have a more recentered focus on the underrated King titles I still haven't tackled. A few weeks back, I did a nice tally of all the King books I've read thus far, and I'm starting 2024 with 50 King titles under my belt. During this big tally, I noticed I have a rather large pothole in the 1990s. It surprised me, folks. I was definitely blushing. Whoa, I got an issue there, as I still haven't read Gerald's Game, Dolores Claiborne, Desperation, The Regulators, Insomnia, Needful Things, nor Dreamcatcher. Ugh, I am shaking my head. I thought my 70s coverage was low, but nope. I got a big old crater to fill with 90s King, so I would like to remedy that in the coming year. It's rather imperative I start filling in that big gap, my guys. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? So I'm looking forward to it. 90s King, from what I've heard, is a cool era to explore. From what I've gathered from my own research and chatting with constant reader friends, is that 90s King content is a little wacky, little edgy, but rather meaty in terms of exploring what he's immersed in as a man in his late 40s, new late 50s. We also have a heavy helping of feminist stuff in there, some of those domestic violence tales. I think we've got that trilogy of Dolores Claiborne, Gerald's Game, Rose Madder. We have a large ensemble cast novel, a Dark Tower adjacent novel, and a host of other strange and unusual goings-on, and I'm here for it. So here's hoping 2024 allows me to make a nice dent in the 90s King selections I haven't arrived at yet, because, guys, that's priority one. I gotta handle that. So that's all I'm gonna put out into the universe in terms of plans, because, guys, as you know, every time I plan, it just blows up in my face with the exact opposite. So I'm just gonna gently put out there that 90s King is definitely something I need to plug into. But who knows where this year might take me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin our main event. let's hand out some awards for the Best of Underrated King 2023. I'm aware that even though we don't have a lot of underrated selections in these categories, we're just gonna go with it and have some fun regardless if it's highly rated or underrated. Because at the end of the day, this is the Kim C reflection on 2023's King titles. And I want to highlight the characters and plot lines we spent time with this year because they're wonderful and eternal and they make me very, very happy. This year, I read 6 Stephen King titles, 5 novels, and 1 novella collection, and they are the following: It, The Shining, Carrie, 4 Past Midnight, Fairy Tale, and The Eyes of the Dragon. Those are our 6 titles. I also had 5 constant reader interviews, starting with Dave Musson from the YouTube channel Dave Reads King, Richard Shepard from the Constant Reader podcast, Scott Daly and Dr. Matt Freeman from Kingslingers, and lastly, Dr. Neil McRobert from Talking Scared. Those gentlemen were beyond incredible, and if you haven't listened to those stellar interviews, please jump back and do so because all of them are so kind, so brilliant, and really inspiring King fans whose extensive time periods with King's writing really illuminate their strong reader knowledge, but what these interviews also do with their magic, generosity, and delight is shine a huge spotlight on how special the Stephen King community is. Thus far, I've been really lucky in getting to know and becoming friends with some truly exceptional human beings who risk the dark and love bravely, and most importantly, hang up all pretentiousness at the door when it comes to talking about an author whose stories have moved them, shaped them, and enhanced their lives. Jump back to those interviews if you haven't heard them already. Man, looking back at those lovely fellows. Really moving. Definitely brings tears to my eyes. Okay, let's do it. Enough dilly-dallying. We've arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 11 award categories for you. Today we will be giving awards on behalf of the 6 Stephen King titles previously mentioned. So all the winners of the following categories are from the 6 titles we read this year. Only characters and plot lines and setting details and additional characteristics, they're all featured from It, The Shining, Carrie, The Eyes of the Dragon, Fairy Tale, and 4 Past Midnight. Those are the stories that will be featured and awarded. I also have 1 category on TV and film, so I will include the Stephen King film/TV adaptations that I watched in 2023. They weren't made in 2023, but I did view them in 2023. So just have this year in your mind as we move forward. And now, here are our 11 categories. Our first award looks at Best Hero. Next we have number 2, Best Leading Lady. Followed by number 3, Best Sidekick. And then category number 4, The Character Who Left Me Wanting More. We also have number 5, Best Stephen King Television/Film. Our 6th category is Best Stephen King Short Story or Novella. Number 7 is Best Villain. Number 8 is Best Setting. Number 9 is the award for Best Youth or Young Person. Number 10 is a brand new category this year, guys. You know I like me some cursed and or haunted objects. And though these aren't specifically haunted, they definitely got something memorable about them. So number 10 is the category for Best Prop. And lastly, category 11 is the overall best Stephen King title of 2023. This doesn't necessarily indicate the best in the whole world, but merely stands for which one was my favorite for this year. Category 11, the best Stephen King title of 2023. So now that you know the 11 categories we'll be exploring and awarding, it's time to announce the nominees for each category. I would have liked to have kept it nice and neat with 5 nominees for each category, even Stevens, but that didn't happen. Most have at least 5 nominees, and then there are some with 7, some with 6, some have 5 plus a couple honorable mentions attached. And just as a reminder, the honorable mentions are just that. Mentions, and that's it. Sadly, they aren't able to win, but they do win by the fact that I'm giving them a shout out. Before I forget, just a heads up, guys, if you haven't read any of the following 6 titles I read this year, I will be very cautious to avoid spoilers, but tread carefully. So just know there might be some details that squeak out, but I'm gonna do my best to keep it vague, but I gotta warn ya, okay? Just kind of a heads up. The nominees for our first category, Best Hero. Number 1, Mike Hanlon from It. Number 2, Charlie Reed from Fairy Tale. Number 3, Sam Peebles from The Library Policeman. Number 4, Dick Halloran from The Shining. And number 5, Prince Peter of Delane from The Eyes of the Dragon. For our second category, Best Leading Lady, we have the following nominees. Number 1, Beverly Marsh from It. Number 2, Leah of the Galleon from Fairy Tale. Number 3, Wendy Torrance from The Shining. Number 4, Carrie White from Carrie. Number 5, Laurel Stevenson from The Langoliers. For our third category, Best Sidekick, here are the nominees. Number 1, Radar the German Shepherd from Fairy Tale. Number 2, the ethereal Tony from The Shining. Number 3, this one's double trouble because I could not just pick one, Richie Tozier and Eddie Kasprak from It. Number 4, Dennis, who is Peter's butler from The Eyes of the Dragon. And number 5, Nick Hopewell from The Langoliers. For our fourth category, the character who left me wanting more, here are the nominees. Tommy Ross from Carrie. Number 2, Mort Rainey from Secret Window, Secret Garden. Number 3, Ben from The Eyes of the Dragon. He was a friend of Peter's, and he shows up in the book rather late, making Ben our third nominee. Number 4, Thomas from The Eyes of the Dragon. And number 5, Mr. Howard Bowditch from Fairy Tale. For our fifth category, the Best Stephen King Television or Film, number 1, 1980's The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Number 2, the 1990 It miniseries, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. Number 3, 2017's It Chapter 1, directed by Andy Muschietti. Number 4, 1995's The Langoliers, directed by Tom Holland. And number 5, 1976's Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma. Our sixth category is Best Stephen King Short Story or Novella. Our nominees are number 1, The Boogeyman from Night Shift. Number 2, Mr. Harrigan's Phone from If It Bleeds. Number 3, The Langoliers from 4 Past Midnight. Number 4, Secret Window, Secret Garden from 4 Past Midnight. Number 5, The Library Policeman from 4 Past Midnight. And number 6, The Sundog from 4 Past Midnight. Our seventh category is Best Villain, and this one's a bit hefty. Our first nominee is Pennywise from It. Number 2, Margaret White from Carrie. Number 3, Jack Torrance from The Shining. Number 4, Eldon of the Galleon from Fairy Tale. Number 5, Flag from The Eyes of the Dragon. And number 6, Ardelia Lortz from The Library Policeman. We have 2 honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention goes to Craig Toomey from The Langoliers. And our second honorable mention is Pop Merrill from The Sundog. Our 8th category is Best Setting, and the nominees are number 1, Derry, Maine. Number 2, the Overlook Hotel in Sidewinder, Colorado. Number 3, the town of Chamberlain, Maine. Number 4, the Kingdom of Empus. And number 5, the Kingdom of Delane. Number 9 is the category for Best Youth or Young Person. Our first nominee is 11-year-old Dinah Bellman from The Langoliers. She is the blind psychic girl on the plane. Number 2, 5-year-old Danny Torrance from The Shining. Number 3, 16-year-old Carrie White from Carrie. Number 4, 17-year-old Charlie Reed from Fairy Tale. And number 5, 15-year-old Kevin Delavan from The Sundog. Number 10 is our brand new category for this year, and it is Best Prop. This is so fun, guys. Number 1, Jack Torrance's Roke Mallet. Number 2, Charlie Reed's Pot of Gold from Fairy Tale. Number 3, Pennywise's Red Balloon from It. This one's a little out there. Really tapping on some hardcore constant readers right now. But number 4, the Amber Eyes of Niner the Dragon from The Eyes of the Dragon. So think back, everybody, to Niner the Dragon and what exactly those amber eyes are. I don't want to reveal too much, but I absolutely loved this. And number 5, Kevin's birthday present camera from The Sundog. That thing was all kinds of mischief. We do have one honorable mention, and this is such a stretch, but I don't care, I'm throwing it in there. My one honorable mention is Carrie White's prom dress. So good. Our last category, number 11, is the best Stephen King title of 2023. Our first nominee is 1986's It. Our second nominee is 1977's The Shining. Our third nominee is 1974's Carrie. Number 4 is 1990's 4 Past Midnight Novella collection. Number 5 is 1984's The Eyes of the Dragon. And number 6 is 2022's Fairy Tale. All right, lovies, those are the categories and the nominees. So what's going to happen now is everybody's going to go get another drink, get a little snack, and come back where we will go over the categories and nominees one more time. Get a notepad and pen so you can play along with me, and I will announce the winners for Best of Underrated King 2023. Go change into your comfy clothes and make sure your beverage is chilled, and I'll see you in the next section. Okay, babes in Toyland, let me tell you, I had a time picking these winners. Oh, am I torn on a few? Absolutely haunted by a few. But I think I'm in a good spot to announce. Pretty sure. I think so. But we're gonna go for it anyway. I'm going to repeat the categories and nominees one more time so we're all solid. And if you're writing them down at home, you can pause and pick your winners before I announce them. So here we go. One more time, our 11 categories for the Best of Underrated King 2023 and the nominees. For Best Hero, we have Mike Hanlon from It, Charlie Reed from Fairy Tale, Sam Peebles from The Library Policeman, Dick Halloran from The Shining, and Prince Peter of Delane from The Eyes of the Dragon. For Best Leading Lady, we have Beverly Marsh from It, Leah of the Galleon from Fairy Tale, Wendy Torrance from The Shining, Carrie White from Carrie, and Laurel Stevenson from The Langoliers. For Best Sidekick, we have Radar the German Shepherd from Fairy Tale, Tony from The Shining, Richie Tozier and Eddie Kaspbrak from It, Number 4, Dennis and/or Peter's butler from The Eyes of the Dragon, and Nick Hopewell from The Langoliers. For the character who left me wanting more, we have Tommy Ross from Carrie, Mort Rainey from Secret Window, Secret Garden, Ben from The Eyes of the Dragon, Thomas from The Eyes of the Dragon, and Mr. Howard Bowditch from Fairy Tale. For Best Stephen King TV or Film, 1980s The Shining, 1990s The It miniseries, 2017 It Chapter 1, 1995's The Langoliers, and 1976's Carrie. For Best Stephen King Short Story or Novella, we have The Boogeyman, Mr. Harrigan's Phone, The Langoliers, Secret Window, Secret Garden, The Library Policeman, and The Sundog. For Best Villain, we have Pennywise from It, Margaret White from Carrie, Jack Torrance from The Shining, Eldon of the Galleon from Fairy Tale, Flag from The Eyes of the Dragon, and Ardelia Lortz from The Library Policeman. With 2 honorable mentions, Craig Toomey from The Langoliers and Pop Merrill from The Sundog. For Best Setting, we have Derry, Maine, The Overlook Hotel, Chamberlain, Maine, the Kingdom of Empus, and the Kingdom of Delane. For Best Youth, we have 11-year-old Dinah Bellman from The Langoliers, 5-year-old Danny Torrance from The Shining, 16-year-old Carrie White from Carrie, 17-year-old Charlie Reed from Fairy Tale, and 15-year-old Kevin Delavan from The Sundog. For Best Prop, we have Jack Torrance's Roque Mallet, Charlie Reed's Pot of Gold, Pennywise's Red Balloon, the Amber Eyes of Niner the Dragon, and Kevin's birthday present camera. Honorable mention, Carrie White's prom dress. And finally, for Best Stephen King title of 2023, we have It, The Shining, Carrie, 4 Past Midnight, The Eyes of the Dragon, or Fairy Tale. Okay, everybody, back to the top. Let's announce the winners. Woo, this was simultaneously so fun and so awful. But hopefully, I agree with a lot of you. Hopefully. We might have a couple outliers out there, but that's okay. I am now going to announce my winners. Beginning with our first category, Best Hero. The winner is Mike Hanlon from It. Oh, friends, of course. I really fell in love with him this year. He just beat out everybody else exponentially. What a hero. What a hero! I'm telling you, the daring interludes, what this man endured, what he went through, what he sacrificed, my goodness. He's just amazing. Mike Hanlon from It, my best hero. For my best leading lady. Oh, this was hard. This one sucked. It was, this one was so difficult, folks. But the winner is Beverly Marsh from It. Of course. I thought about Girlfriend so much during my It reread, after my It reread, weeks after my It reread. She is someone who always echoes for me. I'm always hot and cold. I'm spun in a million different directions. And although I was this close, just an inch away from giving it to Wendy Torrance from The Shining, I just have to give it to Miss Marsh. She's so layered and important and treasured and cryptic, yet strong and inspiring. She's just everything, isn't she? An absolute diamond among diamonds. So of course it's Beverly. For best sidekick, there could not be anyone else. I'm sorry. I loved everyone on this list, but we gotta go to the canine community for this one. The winner for best sidekick is Radar, the German Shepherd from Fairy Tale. She is precious. She is talismanically magical, powerful. She is 16 years old and everything you want in a best friend. Very hard to beat out Radar this year. Sorry. Sorry, humans. You couldn't beat the four-legged creature this time. For the character who left me wanting more, the winner is Mort Rainey from Secret Window, Secret Garden. This is a little bit of a weird one, guys, but honestly, when I spent some time with Secret Window, Secret Garden in my 4 Past Midnight coverage, I had a fun time. That is such a fun story with the unreliable narrator and the kind of twisty plot stuff. By the way, if you're a fan of Lacey's story, wow, Secret Window, Secret Garden is definitely a cool preamble to Lacey's story. A lot of parallels. But Mort Rainey, we find out at the end of the story, is a rather violent individual. And I don't know if I had a lot of detail as to why such a switch. Granted, I understood he might not have been the most sound mentally, but I was thinking about him a lot after I finished that novella. And I had to say I wanted a lot more. A lot more. So he's the winner for me, Mort Rainey, the character who left me wanting more. Our 5th category, Best Stephen King Television or Film. The winner is the It 1990 miniseries. Ugh, guys, it still slaps, I tell ya. I think it's aging okay. It's not perfect by any means, but there's so much I like about it. Number 1, I love the 1950s. And, oh man, I think it brings me close to King's actual childhood, which was in the 50s. I love the greasers, I love the cars, I love the clothes. I also love that young Bill is played by one of my favorite adolescent celebrity crushes at the time, who is Jonathan Brandis. Rest in peace, precious Jonathan Brandis. He is no longer with us, but oh man, guys, I had that kid's poster all over the back of my door. Absolutely smitten kitten for him. So there's many reasons why I love the It 1990 miniseries, but after my It reread this fall, I found myself watching it more than once, like 3-4 times, and I don't really know why I did that. I think I just really enjoyed everything they were doing. I also really love the actor who played Mike Hanlon. His name is leaving me right at the second. Shoot, I should have wrote it down. But I love his performance so much. He really channeled who I think Mike Hanlon would be as an adult. Just kind of tired and haggard, but prideful and responsible. Oh, there's so much to love about the It 1990 miniseries. So it is my winner. Our 6th category is the best Stephen King short story or novella I read this year. And the winner is Mr. Harrigan's Phone from If It Bleeds. I chatted with my Stephen King bestie, Matt Hurt, over on Tower Junkies podcast. He also is the host of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Both are equally amazing, and I've guest starred several times on both. It's one of my favorite places to hang out. And he did a deep dive on Mr. Harrigan's phone and was so kind to invite me over, and we just got on like a house on fire. So much fun. But I adore not only the Netflix adaptation of the novella, but the novella itself. I love the elderly benefactor trope that King uses, and with this story, it's just so dang good. Very Dickensian, mixed with a little bit of tech, and a really wonderful bond between a very wealthy old man and a very young boy. It's so good, guys. It's just chef's kiss. It's my winner, Mr. Harrigan's Phone from If It Bleeds. Our 7th category is Best Villain. This one is a little bloated, guys. We had so many insanely good villains this year. Whoa, like iconic villains. But strangely, my winner is very underrated, which I'm not surprised at myself in the slightest. But I'm gonna give the award for Best Villain to Miss Ardelia Lortz from The Library Policeman. Oh my goodness, friends. Okay, so The Library Policeman I wasn't crazy about as a novella. There's some very graphic sexual violence in there against a child. It's pretty disturbing, really upsetting. And at the end of the novella, I'm not exactly sure if all of that violence was used and or needed. I have a lot of hot takes, but I was very impressed with this villain, Miss Ardelia Lortz. She is the librarian, and what we learn about her is that she's kind of, if not 100%, a succubus. This is a lady who uses sex to destroy men and allow them to do her bidding, which is to help her prey upon children. So we've got some Pennywise echoes here. We've got some creature-y things going on. We have some immortal female destroyer stuff going on. And the initials AL also match one of my all-time favorite Stephen King villains from the Storm of the Century miniseries, Andre Lanoge. I think they might be related. Or at least they hang out at the same country club or something. But Ardelia Lortz, my guys, if anything, I would like you all to spend some time with the Library Policeman. Let's chat about this crazy lady. She's kind of messed up in like a sexy psycho way. I dug it. We see her as a youth, we see her as an older woman. I really liked what King was doing with this villain, and if she were to come back in any other iteration, I would not hate it. My winner for Best Villain, even though, it was impossible. It was so hard to choose. Ardelia Lortz from The Library Policeman. Our 8th category, Best Setting. My winner is... Had to give it to Derry. Yes. Derry, Maine is our clear winner. Oh man, the Derry interludes, just everything that goes down, how cursed and messed up and ruined in this interconnected scheme of evil brewing under the earth of that town for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands, who's to say. It's just so good, guys. King did such a beautiful job making sure you understand as the reader 10,000% this place is messed up. Everything about Derry is doom and destruction and despair. Those 3 Ds. They should really put that on the town sign as you arrive. Welcome to Derry. Destruction, doom, and despair. I find it completely appropriate, but it was so clear. It's a little more opaque with the overlook, a little foggier than I would like. Chamberlain was pretty cool, but we didn't get to spend a ton of time outside of you in high school. Empus was pretty great, had fun there. The Kingdom of Deline I also enjoyed a great deal, but man, all votes for Derry. My clear winner for Best Setting. Number 9 is Best Youth, and the winner of my favorite young person of 2023, 16-year-old Carrie White from Carrie. Oh gosh, guys, I freshly published my Carrie episode and I'm still coming down from it. There's just, it's so good. It's so good and I was so impressed at King's debut. Just can't believe it. But Carrie, wow. I don't know, that story is so tribal and primal for me. And there is so much blood all over the dang place. And the fact that this blood is the catalyst for this transformation she undergoes, whether or not we have enough concrete detail for said transformation is left to be determined. But I had an absolute ball looking at the power this girl had. She is so cool. I was torn between my sweet little baby Danny from The Shining. I love him so much. Really, really torn. I always want to give Danny the award. Always. But Carrie is very much still on my mind. I am so in awe of all that she is. May she reign supreme and live forever. My 10th category, Best Prop. The winner is Jack Torrance's Roque Mallet from The Shining. Oh, folks, I love this so much. I loved my second read-through of The Shining this spring. A ton of fun. Oh, wow. I really got to see from page 1, really from sentence 1, this story is completely about doom from the very beginning. And I love that we have a vision from Danny of the Roque Mallet very, very early in the story. It might have been the 4th or 5th chapter, if I'm correct, where Danny is watching his dad get out of the car and there's a bloody Roque Mallet. And everything about that mallet is just so hauntingly cool for me, guys. I love it. I love that it also connects us to the hedge animals and the maze, because that's where Roque would have been played. I know that a lot of people envision the axe, which is also a really cool object, but I think there's a lot of damage done before they even arrive at the Overlook. King is doing a really beautiful thing that Anton Chekhov would be proud of, which is putting the gun on the table. You better use it or lose it, and he consistently uses this prop, whether in the imagination of our characters or actually physically bashing in the walls of the hotel. It's so good. It is very, very effective. And my favorite prop of 2023's King reading, Jack Torrance's Roque Mallet. My last category. Oh my goodness, we made it, friends. The best Stephen King title of 2023. This one was hard. This one is so hard. I don't know. I think I've made I know I've made the right choice. I know. But it still pains me. It still absolutely pains me because I really, really enjoyed the titles I read this year. But the clear winner, my loves, the clear winner is 1986's It. It is the juggernaut of all juggernauts. For my second read through this year, I was wiping away tears. I was having nightmares. I was staying up late at night, bookmarking pages, taking notes, highlighting, completely immersed myself and felt the story immerse me. And once more, when I finished, I had that book hangover. I missed everybody. I was thrilled to get away in my mental car and drive away from Derry, but at the same time, I missed the way the story made me feel, as I'm sure a lot of us feel when we're done reading it, which is why so many of you who reached out to me said that it is something you read almost every single year. I get it. I absolutely get it. It's very, very special. And even though I really enjoyed all the titles read this year, it definitely is the clear winner. It's really hard to beat. Really, really hard to beat. One more roundup of our winners, starting at the top. Best Hero, Mike Hanlon from It. Best Leading Lady, Beverly Marsh from It. For Best Sidekick, we have Radar, the German Shepherd from Fairy Tale. The character who left me wanting more was Mort Rainey from Secret Window, Secret Garden. For the Best Stephen King television or film, the It 1990 miniseries still slaps. For the Best Stephen King short story or novella, Mr. Harrigan's Phone from If It Bleeds. Jump over to Tower Junkies to hear my exploration with my friend Matt Hurt on that fantastic novella and Netflix film. Number 7 is Best Villain, and my winner is Ardelia Lortz from The Library Policeman. Succubus, child feeder, cranky old librarian, the works. Number 8, Best Setting goes to The Interminably Cursed, Derry, Maine. Number 9, Best Youth, gotta give it to my girl Carrie, 16-year-old Carrie White. Number 10, Best Prop, Jack Torrance's Roque Mallet. And number 11, the best Stephen King title of 2023, 1986's It. Okay, everybody, I think that's a wrap for this episode. There are your winners for the Best of Underrated King 2023. I hope your favorites won. I feel pretty good about my choices, of course, but at 3 a.m. tonight I might second guess 1 or 2 of them, but that's what's great about King stuff. It lives forever, and we can always reposition some chess pieces if we need to. As for moi, it's time to celebrate. It's time for bubbles! I have a chilled bottle in the fridge for this exact moment, so before I crack it open, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening to the show this year. I can't thank you all enough for your kindness and support of this podcast. I gotta swallow my tears back a little bit. Thank you so much if you've shared it with a friend or allowed it to have a spot in your podcast queue. It means everything, truly. You are all so incredibly special and so gracious, and all of you listening out there really make it all worthwhile. We are a little show, but we are mighty with passion for Stephen King's writing, and that passion will sustain us into 2024 and hopefully beyond. So if you're thinking of spreading any New Year's joy, it would be a really, really beautiful cap off to 2023 and hello to 2024 if you could rate and review the show, because the enthusiasm from all of you really helps me create more episodes. Because not gonna lie, folks, just being transparent, sometimes I get super in my head and really negative Nancy about this solo endeavor, so it would be really helpful in all the ways if there were some kind reviews to be the wind beneath my wings as I head into 2024. Ergo, if you haven't already, please make sure you head to wherever you access this podcast and give it a rating. And if you really want to create some New Year's magic, it would be great if you shared a few of your thoughts in the form of a review. It would really be the best gift ever, guys, and I would be so, so grateful. Also, if you haven't yet said hi to me, please do so at underratedsk@gmail.com. Those of you who have written me this year, thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully those folks will tell you. I'm usually prompt in a response back, so I would love to hear from you and learn about your history with King, your thoughts on past episodes, suggestions for the future, etc. So if you haven't written and you feel you need a little bit of a break in between binge watching much needed TV and films during this holiday come down, please say hello as I look forward to hearing from all of you. And if you don't fancy Gmail, no worries at all. You can always reach me on Instagram, X, Threads, and Facebook. I'm on there, bopping around, and I'll respond as soon as I can. A fun update before I go is that the episodes of this show are now on YouTube. So that's a fun addition. Go ahead and head over to YouTube and subscribe. So we are now accessible via YouTube if that strikes your fancy. In terms of 2024, I hope to get a Patreon off the ground where my plan is to read the short story collection Nightmares and Dreamscapes, of which I've never read before. and that will be completely exclusive to the Patreon. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, stay tuned. I'll be sure to let you know when it's up and running, once I'm done holidaying, and once I get all my ducks in a row. A Patreon featuring the short story collection Nightmares and Dreamscapes is on the horizon. What definitely will come up in January is a constant reader interview that is so beyond great, my guys. Oh my goodness, you're gonna love it. If you scroll past social media posts, you might be able to figure out who it is, but oh man, he is amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. This is someone who I would call an uber Stephen King SME, or subject matter expert. He is both my desert brother and totally New York City. Talent, hilarity, wisdom. It will be epic in all the ways, so please make sure you check that out when it drops. Fingers crossed I have it ready by mid-January. I hope, but January for sure. Most likely by the end of January, I will resume my walk with the quartet. I will be with Roland and the gang in my first read-through of Wind Through the Keyhole, so please get ready for that. All right, my dearest gemstones, it's time to say farewell. Once more, Happy New Year. I love you all so very much. My heart is so full of gratitude for all of you who clicked on this podcast this year and years past. Thank you for all your support. Cheers to 2024, and may it be a prosperous one for you and yours. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.